Would be on the way that strongly encourage foreign banks to open branches in rural areas and earmark services to, for instance, poor farm workers. We find the BBC's Rahul Tandon in front of a foreign-owned bank in a decidedly urban, not rural part of India.
I am in Calcutta. This was the city that had India's first foreign bank. We've seen foreign companies come into many sectors here in India, but banking is one where it's been a very slow process. The question is, David, is that about to change?
Yes, a foreign bank branch in an urban area is a bit old hat. These new rules would encourage what? More branches in rural areas?
That's, I think, what the Indian government would like to happen. Now, the reason we're discussing this is because Raghuram Rajan, the governor of the Reserve Bank of India, was recently in Washington, and he made some statements which seemed to indicate that this sector was going to open up dramatically. But do they want to take that opening? Because if they come in here as subsidiaries, they'll have to set up a lot of their banks in rural areas of India. And I think a lot of foreign banks will look at that at the moment and say, we don't want to do that, because if they give loans in those areas, there's very little for them to secure those loans against.
Now, the reason why the Indian government is encouraging rural banks has an interesting public policy goal, right? Would be to bring banking to poorer people or agricultural workers, for instance?
Absolutely, you've hit the nail on the head there. And I think the feeling is, whilst it's a great policy for India to have more banks that could access the rural sector, 50% of this country doesn't have access to banking. Is that going to attract foreign companies in? And so a lot of discussion about this, but will it turn into anything concrete? Will we see more banks like the one in front of me? Maybe not quite yet.
The BBC's Rahul Tandon in Calcutta. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, David.
We were doing that NSA branding story. We would also like to hear from you when it comes to your data. Whom do you trust more, the NSA or Google? At marketplace.org, you'll find an unscientific yet compelling little survey that we hope is food for thought. In New York, I'm David Brancaccio with the Marketplace Midday Update from APM, American Public Media.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lisa Brady. Confronted with the latest reports about U.S. spying.
I'm not going to get into details of internal discussion.
White House spokesman Jay Carney not confirming or denying whether the president was kept in the dark about certain NSA surveillance of world leaders.
The president clearly feels strongly about making sure that we are not just collecting information because we can, but because we should.
Carney saying moments ago the president has full confidence in the NSA director and that a review of U.S. intelligence gathering procedures will be completed by year's end. The White House also continuing to emphasize that fixing the problems with the Obamacare website is a work in progress. Health and Human Services Secretary Kathleen Sebelius due before a House committee on Wednesday. One of the things Congress hasn't been able to agree on could affect the price of milk fairly soon. Fox News Radio's Jared Halpern live in Washington.
Negotiations resume this week on a 5-year, $500 billion farm bill. Without an agreement, one unintended consequence would be sky-high milk prices next year as a dairy supplement expires. Congress already extended that dairy price fix once before. House Republicans and Senate Democrats spar over larger issues. Long linked to agriculture subsidies is the federal food stamp program. A House-passed plan cuts about $4 billion annually. A Senate offer looks to cut just a fraction of that total. Lisa.
Jared, thanks. Penn State just announcing it will pay nearly $60 million to 26 young men over claims of child sex abuse by former assistant football coach Jerry Sandusky. Negotiations on compensation have been going on for about a year since Sandusky's conviction on 45 criminal counts. He's serving a 30 to 60-year sentence and is appealing. Penn State says 23 payments to victims are fully signed, 3 are agreements in principle, and the school still faces 6 other claims. You're listening to Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Weeknights, we're busting out a brand new lineup. First, market fraud, government abuse, corruption. At 5, nothing's off limits on money with Melissa Francis. Then, from bloated bank fees to consumer scams. At 6, Jerry's exposing the issues impacting your wallet. Plus, get smart market insight and trusted analysis you won't find anywhere else. At 7, Lou Dobbs is all business. And the first and last name in business, Cavuto. Shedding light on the biggest stories making headlines at 8. Only on the Fox Business Network, giving you the power to prosper. Weekdays, it's Markets Now on Fox Business.
Big sales for automakers. We will indeed see some reaction down here. We've got the numbers.
I'll look at some of the winners and losers in the market.
Tracking every trade, watching every sector.
The stock's actually at an all-time high.
U.S. manufacturing continued to expand.
Minute by minute, Markets Now is your source for real-time business news.
Gold and silver dropping like lead balloons today.
You still can find some opportunities.
Only one network has the pulse across the financial world. Fox Business, the power to prosper.
For the first time in about a dozen years, the FBI has a new leader.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
With that, James Comey became the 7th director of the FBI. President Obama noting the wide range of threats the FBI has to handle these days.
Traditional threats like violent and organized crime to the constantly changing threats like terrorism and cybersecurity.
Comey takes over as domestic and international surveillance techniques employed by the FBI and other agencies have come into question. He pledged to uphold integrity at the Bureau.
Without integrity, all is lost. We cannot do the good that all of these amazing people signed up to do.
But it's not clear Congress will continue to give the FBI the same latitude to root out terrorists. At the White House, Mike Makowitz, Fox News Radio.
A frightening day for residents of one North Texas apartment complex.
I walk out of the little breezeway of my apartment, and there's police officer with a machine gun.
She was among those evacuated in Arlington after a man opened fire. At least one person's been wounded, and the gunman remains barricaded in the complex, where police say he also fired at officers responding to 911 calls early this morning. Police are trying to negotiate the suspect's surrender. Students back in middle school in Sparks, Nevada for the first time since a deadly shooting a week ago. Police still trying to figure out what prompted a 12-year-old to kill a math teacher, also shooting and wounding 2 classmates before killing himself. A thrill ride operator facing criminal charges in connection with an accident at the North Carolina State Fair.
46-year-old Timothy Dwayne Tudorow of Quitman, Georgia, was arrested over the weekend on 3 counts of assault with a deadly weapon. In this case, the alleged weapon was the ride itself. Witnesses say the ride lurched into motion while passengers were disembarking, injuring 5 people. 3 victims remain hospitalized.
Fox's Jonathan Seri, Tudorow's attorney, has only said so far that his client is devastated by what happened. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News Radio.
Today, about 1 in 5 Americans is living with a disability. Over 50 million people, including many of our friends and neighbors, teachers and co-workers, heroes and leaders. 20 years ago, the Americans with Disabilities Act guaranteed every person the right to live, work, and participate fully in the American experience. We've come a long way since then, and we are committed to making even more progress in the years ahead. Visit disability.gov to see how you can help.
Hey friends, are you looking for great handmade wooden chairs? Then I suggest you check out Marshall Woodworking. Each piece of furniture is built by hand, one chair at a time. Made from 100% Western red cedar, select tight knot furniture grade wood, and all of it is kiln dried. Old-time woodworking meets up with today's lumbar support for extra comfort to your back and legs. Curved back for maximum support. And it's all put together with stainless steel hardware with waterproof adhesives to ensure stability and strength for years and years of use. So give the folks at Marshall Woodworking a call at 417-459-4201. That's 417-459-4201. Again, that number is 417-459-4201. Or check them out at their website at classicpatiochairs.com. Again, that website address is classicpatiochairs.com.
Welcome back to Studio 27 on this Monday afternoon, and rolling on with a very screwed up edition of First Cup. Thanks for bearing with me, and hopefully we'll get things straightened out and have a better show for you tomorrow and make it through today's. What was off to a promising start has gone downhill ever since the computer locked up. But that's neither here nor there. Let's get to news of the weird and try to get some dignity left in this program as soon as I find my phone and bring up the rest of my notes. And so finish this game of Frogger first, though. I tell you, it's still addicting after all these years. My favorite video game as a kid, and I still love it today. Okay. Don't need that. What I do need is Evernote. So we'll open that up. And hopefully we'll be able to get this going here in a few seconds. Open up Show Prep. And scroll this down. And what do you say we take care of News of the Weird right about now, okay? Alright. Sounds like a winner. And take a look at News of the Weird for today. And let's see here, make sure that I have the right one up. I just realized this may be the wrong one. Nope, that's the right one. Okay. For some reason, this story seems very familiar. Georgia man enters burning house to save beer. Once he made sure his family was safe, Georgia man Walter Serpent went back into his burning home to save his beer. Being a consumer of alcoholic beverages, he said, I was trying to get my beer out when I went back into the house like a dummy, and the door shut on me because this backdraft was about to kill me. Serpent, who walks with a cane, saved several cans of beer. And that is today's News of the Weird item. I didn't care for the way UPI wrote this story because they call this guy an alcoholic. And that's a pretty big charge to make to someone. Now, I admit there are people that are overly addicted to alcohol, but it doesn't necessarily make them an alcoholic. But we'll save that debate for another time. All right, now let's see what's on the old tweeter. So, calling up Governor Rick Perry of Texas to get us started proper like. Oh, Governor.
And you can always follow me on Twitter.
Hello, computer. Just use the keyboard. The keyboard. How quaint.
And my apologies to St. Louis Cardinals fans, because this one's for the Boston Red Sox, primarily. They have teamed up to produce a memorable set of beards this postseason. Seems that their facial hair festival follows the beard trend set by the popular TV show Duck Dynasty. Another reason why I hate the Boston Red Sox. So I've gone to the tweeter to see the latest buzz on all these October beards. Valeza Booze writes, the friction from all that beard stroking provides the electricity for downtown Boston. Nathan Shaw writes, all my mom is saying is, when watching the World Series, wow, look, and his beard. And then she asked if it was beard night. David Peck writes, new MLB rule, if the Cards win the World Series, they get to celebrate by chasing down the Red Sox and forcibly shaving those creepy beards. I'm all for that. And finally, Wendy Thurm writes, guys, I'm starting to think that Red Sox beards really don't affect the outcome of games. And how true that is. And that, my friends, are today's popular tweets of the day. And now it's time for my favorite portion of the program, which is called, yes, you guessed it, Song of the Day. And Song of the Day is where I pull a song at random, or, may have a particular theme or message. But today is...
Boom! That's what I'm talking about.
Okay, there we go. I was wondering when the Duck Dynasty thing was going to fire. Anyway, today's Song of the Day is an inside joke between a friend of mine at work. Kara, I hope you're listening, because I was trying to figure out what I would play for today's Song of the Day, and the joke he made the other night, this was it. Now, I'm not going to give away too many secrets, but there's a guy in our department temporarily who's in there because of work disability. And so he's been observing our downtime and stuff like that, and writing stuff on a clipboard. Now, I don't want to call him out, all right? This is just some good-natured fun. But he was creeping us out the other night because he just stares at off in the distance, wondering, is he staring at me? Is he staring at someone else? So what's the deal here? So we got to singing Somebody's Always Watching Me from Rockwell. Yeah, that song. And that's today's Song of the Day. Now, it was the debut single by R&B artist Rockwell, released on the Motown label in January of 1984. It featured former Motown artist Michael Jackson on the chorus and Jermaine Jackson on additional backing vocals. Rockwell is the son of Motown CEO Berry Gordy Jr. At the time of the recording, Rockwell was estranged from his father and living with Ray Singleton, his father's ex-wife. Singleton served as executive producer on the project and would occasionally play some demo tracks